Hey there, my name is Dr. Liz Wright, and today we are going to be talking about some skills in terms of how to be successful if you are taking a class that is remote that uses Zoom, or how to be successful if you are taking a class that is online that offers videos. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay, so we're talking, as I said, about Zoom meeting and video learning strategies. So it can be challenging for us to learn from a new way of thinking, a new modality. So these are some things that we want to think about before we get on Zoom or before we start watching the video for our online class, if our online class has videos. So it's a really good suggestion to read the assigned reading prior to watching the video or before you hop into your Zoom lesson, because it gives you an idea of what the instructor is actually going to be talking about. And it also makes it possible for you to ask questions that you've already been thinking about as the instructor is going through the material. So you definitely want to make sure that you have read the assigned readings prior to attending the Zoom session or watching the videos. And as I've talked about in previous videos, there's lots of good strategies for reading and reading comprehension, and you can find those in another section of this module. As you are on your Zoom session or as you're watching your video, you want to take notes just as you would in a face-to-face class. So you want to be writing down the important points. You want to be writing down definitions. Now remember, you don't want to be writing down every single word that the instructor says, because this is just not possible. So you want to write down keywords or write down things that will help you to remember what was discussed in class. Okay, so we're taking notes. Another thing that you can do is you can compare notes with your classmates. So you can actually talk to classmates and maybe create a Google Doc with all of your notes, because sometimes what happens is I'm paying attention right now, but my classmate isn't paying attention right this second, or is busy focusing on what the instructor just talked about. And so sometimes when we're taking notes, we have gaps and our peers have gaps. And if we combine those notes together, then we can try to make sure that we have a full set of notes. Okay, so we want to compare our notes with our classmates. And then if you're in Zoom, obviously you want to ask questions of your instructor. If you're watching a video online and you have a question about something from the video, feel free, or definitely make sure to message your instructor and ask them any questions that you have, any questions that popped up because of the video that you're watching. Now, let's say that we are on Zoom. There's a couple things that we should keep in mind in terms of quote unquote classroom behavior. So if you're in a remote class, as an instructor, I will tell you most of the time, I'm kind of talking to Zoom to a whole bunch of blank screens or black screens with students' names on them. So if you feel comfortable putting on your camera, then I'm sure that your instructor would appreciate it. Similar to when we come to class, we want to make sure that if we're on camera, we are dressed appropriately. So, you've got a shirt on, things like that. So you don't want to be, half naked or anything like that on your Zoom sessions. It's just not appropriate behavior. And plus, it would be distracting to everyone else. So let's not do that. If you are in class, you want to make sure that you mute yourself unless you have a question or there's some sort of discussion. Many times if students don't mute themselves, then there can be feedback, there can be trouble hearing what's going on. So make sure that you mute yourself unless you have a question or there's a discussion going on. And you also want to make sure that you follow the class rules. So my classes decide on their own class rules in terms of how to behave and what is expected for students via Zoom classes. And so you want to follow those rules. Sometimes they're also provided for you by your instructor. They may be in the syllabus They may be somewhere on your LMS or your learning management system in Canvas. So make sure that you know what the rules are for your Zoom class and how to make sure that you're accomplishing them. Okay. And finally, let's talk a little bit about email etiquette. One thing that I've noticed in the past couple of semesters especially is that I will get an email from a student in Canvas inside of our LMS that simply says, I don't understand the assignment. There's no salutation, there's no, this is the class that I'm in, there's no, this is the assignment that I'm looking at. And so I have to spend time responding to them and saying, okay, what class are you in and what assignment are you talking about, rather than being able to simply answer their question or to direct them to a certain spot on Canvas to answer their questions. So if you have questions, first thing you want to do is to review your syllabus. And there's also, in my classes especially, a lot of related course content available on Canvas. So you can probably find the answers to your questions on Canvas or in the syllabus. But if you can't, then definitely either A, post a question in the questions for the professor discussion board in the discussions area, or B, send me a message. Now, in Canvas, you want to make sure that you are creating a subject line. So the subject line should be informational, letting the instructor know why exactly or what exactly you are emailing them about. So, you know, assignment to an online personality would be a great subject line. You also want to have some sort of salutation. So good morning, Dr. Wright. That would be fantastic. And then you also want to make sure that at the end of your email, you sign it. So, and you want to sign it with your full name. So you want to identify yourself, what class you're in. So I do have 2 social psychology remote classes that are back to back. They have similar assignments. So if you emailed me and said, I'm in your social psych class and I don't understand this, then I wouldn't know exactly which class you're in and how to help you with that. Okay, so if you have a specific time for your remote class, make sure that you let the instructor know about that in the body of your email. Before you email your instructors, you want to stop and think to yourself, okay, what exactly do I need to know about what's my goal with this email? Because many times students will send off 3 or 4 emails in a row with multiple questions. And so what you want to do is sit down and gather your thoughts before you send off an email. So only one email, and review it before you send it. And then make sure that you understand that the person who's receiving your email is not going to respond immediately. My policy is that typically I will respond to emails within 24 to 48 hours. So you do not need to send another email a half an hour later asking if I received the first email, because that's frustrating for the person receiving the email, but also it shows that you haven't read the information, okay? So only one email, and then wait for the response. One thing to keep in mind is that if you have an assignment due tomorrow and you have questions about it, you want to make sure that you email earlier rather than later so that you can make sure that you get a response. I've had some students that email me and ask for an extension on an assignment that's due in a half an hour, and I'm already in bed because assignments are due by 11:59 p.m. So make sure that you are using those time management skills that we talked about to make good decisions in terms of when to email your instructors. Also, it's a good idea to spell and grammar check your emails prior to sending them. You know, capitalize I, things like that. Think about you're actually sending a document to your instructor. And so we want to think about how this is representing us to our instructor, okay? So those are some strategies in terms of how to effectively use Zoom and your online LMS or learning management system or Canvas. If you have other suggestions for students, please feel free to put them in the comments. I would love to see them, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day.